All right, today we're going to be looking at the ASUS ROG Tessen. First off, pricing is going to be $109.99 US, so about $10 more than the backbone controller. This does have a unique design where they allow it to fold so you can easily put it in a bag if you're traveling. The controller fits a device range of phones up to 7 inches in size with a thickness of 7 to 14.5 millimeters. It is compatible with phone cases using the rubber support pads and the extended Type-C port here. This port is not flexible. It is stuck in there, does not move. But from what ASUS is saying, that USB-C port is extended a little bit to allow you to, use your cases for the phone. On the back of the controller, we have aluminum rear paddles that can be remapped if you want to have, your A button, your jump button, your shoot button back here on these paddles. That can be done with this controller. On the sides of the controller, we have these light strips for the RGB lighting. On the face buttons and D-pad, we have mechanical switches. So if you are a fan of mechanical switches, you'll love the clickiness of those buttons. One other thing that I did enjoy when I did the unboxing of this is the eco-friendly packaging that can be repurposed so your controller can fit right there on display for everybody to see. So let's talk about a couple of battery tests that I did with this controller. If you guys aren't aware, these controllers do pull power from your phone so you can actually use the device. And also when you include things like LED lights on the controller, that potentially could pull more power from your phone while you're using that playing high intense games like Call of Duty Warzone, Bloodstrike, what have you. In my testing, I did do two different light settings. Two different LED ROG settings, and one was the flash and dash setting and the other one is going to be the rainbow setting, which I believe is the default that this kind of comes with when you first plug a phone in here after doing your own unboxing. Great to find out that after an hour of gameplay, my battery went from 100 to about 88 on both the flash and dash and the rainbow setting, compared to while I had the lights off. It pretty much went from 100 to 88. So not too much of a difference there. Alrighty, let's talk about the pros and cons of this controller. But before we do that, go ahead and hit that like button if you're still here, and subscribe. Why not? Alrighty, the pros and cons of the controller. First off, the controller folds, which is very important. If you are someone that travels a lot, you can easily fold this up, throw it in a bag, and be on your way. Next thing are going to be the macro buttons that you can change pretty much everywhere on this controller. If you have the Armory Crate app, which is free to download on Android, you can just remap just about every button on the controller. But if you do not have enough storage on your phone and you still want to do some type of remapping on the back paddles here, you can do that without the app at all. Just hit the ROG button and you'll be able to remap the button you want with the paddle button on the back. So if you want to do, simple things like your jump or your shooting on those back paddles, you can definitely do that. Things that I didn't really necessarily like while using this controller. For one, it's going to be really enough to sticks. While these do offer 22 degrees of motion, which is something you would see in a console like controller, I do find that these are, just a little bit smaller. So it's kind of hard to get used to. Overall, I think my time spent with the Razer Kishi Ultra and the GameSir G8 have spoiled me a little bit, as I prefer, more of a console size stick when it comes to there. But when it comes to design overall, keeping everything kind of compact and small, I can understand why they went with that decision to make the sticks smaller. Another thing that I noticed is that I do have to hold this controller just a little bit looser while playing games. I can't really be in a blood strike battle and grip the controller really tight because of the way that they designed this slope here. It kind of digs into your hand. If you're holding it like I guess you would normally hold a controller, or at least how I normally hold controllers, it kind of digs in right about there, which can be uncomfortable for long gaming sessions. So I have to, kind of remap the way I think around holding the controller overall. Maybe I'll hold it, maybe closer to the bottom to where these parts are not digging into the palm of my hand so aggressively. Another con that I did find interesting, staying on top of holding the controller. When you do hold the controller, you kind of block the light from the sides here, as the strip is on the side where your hands are. So if you do happen to, have the little bit of a tighter grip on it, you're not going to see that RGB on the side there. So I feel like, while you can see it on the bottom, which is great, I'm glad they put it there. It would be nice if they would have put maybe some lights around the front. That way you can actually see the light the whole time while playing, because though the color schemes that they went with on the controller and what you can do within the app to kind of make it your own and choose the colors that you like, I really like it. It looks pretty cool, and it's unfortunate that your hand is blocking a large portion of the light strip to where you really can't see it, and the best way to see it is when you put it down and you're not playing. So that's just a small call out. It would be nice to see the RGB. Second thing, for $110, I am very upset that there is no headphone jack on this controller. I do feel like with the design, they could have, added a headphone jack here and maybe made this identical to this side in some type of way, but they decided not to, which is unfortunate to see. Last thing that I didn't understand fully, and maybe they just haven't had time to fix compatibility. This controller only works with Android. So I know when designing controllers, it takes years in advance. So in their heads, they were going for the Android ecosystem, which is great. There are a lot of Android phones that do. There are a lot of people that have Android phones that do game, but I'm sure they were aware that Apple was going to release a USB-C iPhone, just as every other company was pretty much already aware of. But it is what it is. Maybe we will see one, maybe we won't, but that's pretty much the pros and cons of this controller. So my final thoughts. This is a really good controller, and compared to the Razer Kishi V2 and the Backbone 1, for $10 more, you get a foldable design, remappable buttons, and RGB. You also get the back paddles, which you do have, extra buttons on the Razer Kishi V2, but those are on the top, and I kind of prefer those on the back of the controller. And with the Backbone, well, there are no extra buttons that you get with that controller, but there still are some drawbacks. And for me, honestly, holding the controller is one of those things. Now, this might not be an issue overall. Might just be with me because I review controllers all the time now, and it's becoming a thing where I'm just noticing things here and there. So for the average consumer, you might not notice it being that bad for you. Also, let's just call out, for $110, this controller should have a port for your headphones. Like, come on. But that's going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button, or hit the dislike if you didn't. Leave a comment down below on what controller you want to see next, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Stay wild.